Hello and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. Let's get started.
Hi, it's me, Mark. I watched a commercial on TV yesterday, and a woman in her early 30s was working at her laptop, and she was sitting in this big bed surrounded by white walls, white sheets, white pillows. She had a big picture window that overlooked a large city. I mean, this woman, she's got a nice thing going for herself. And then her kids bound into the room and they jump on her bed, two of them, and they're being noisy and playful. And then she holds her computer up in the air so it won't break. And she gives this camera a look as if to say, I just need time to myself. And at that point, I stopped watching the commercial. I have no idea what they were selling because I was remembering back to when my kids were that age. And I probably thought the same thing. Just give me some time to myself. But now that they are beyond that age, I would give anything to be sitting on my bed and have my two children run into the room for just 5 minutes to play with dad. So to all of you successful business types that have deadlines and emails that need replying to and projects to finish, if your kids run into the room and they feel like being silly, be silly with them. Put that computer away. This 5-minute break will give you the energy you need to get you through the day. Now, I'm not a certified life coach, although you would probably think I was. I'm certainly not a trained therapist, but please do yourself a favor and give work a break and give some undivided attention to your children. And for goodness sake, put a splash of color in that room. I mean, it's all white. Color your world a little. Are you ready for Podfulness? Let's get to it. It's time to meet another exceptional young person. Our guest today is Ella. Ella hails from the Bronx. She doesn't live there now, but she's a Bronx girl. What does that even mean? We're going to find out during this interview. We're also going to find out how well she knows her dad. So I asked some questions and she had to try to predict her dad's behavior and responses, and she does a pretty good job. She's very insightful. She's charming. She didn't stammer or stumble. I'm the one that says, so, like, I'm the one that does that. She's the one that sounds like a total professional. She's heavily involved with her school. She loves having friends. She's supportive of them and vice versa. She is a charming individual. So let's take some time right now and get to know Ella. We are talking with Ella today. Ella, what's up? What's happening?
Nothing much. I just woke up.
Oh, you just woke up.
Yes, because
Okay,
I was staying up late watching Lord of the Rings. So
stay watching Lord. Oh, that will keep you up. So good. Which one are you on right now? Which Lord of the Rings?
The second one. We accidentally started watching the extended version, so it's 4 hours. So we were like, okay, you know what? We'll finish it tomorrow. We just couldn't get through it last night.
Did you watch the originals also? Did you watch the non-extended versions? How does it compare?
Yeah, it's like an hour long. It's just like extra scenes. Like it's like it's just like an hour longer, like the hobbits like walking through like a forest. It's just very, very
so it's not even necessary, right? Like it could have stayed on the cutting room floor. Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll keep you up at night and give you nightmares. So for the listeners and watchers at home, it's 3 p.m. right now, and Ella is just now getting up. No, it's not. It's earlier than that. We don't have to tell them the true time because they're watching this sometime in the future. So Ella, you are Bronx born, right?
I am, yes.
What is it like to be a Bronx girl? When you tell someone from the Bronx, are there certain things they assume about you?
They assume that I have like a New York accent, because like someone like I remember when I was younger, I would tell people I don't, because I moved when I was younger, so there's not much I remember. I remember like my apartment building, and I remember like the parks nearby. But people ask me about it, and I'm like, I don't know, like I was just a little kid. I remember the Halloweens we would go walk around town to like all the stores and all the convenience stores and trick or treat there, as opposed to like in the suburb, like to people's houses.
Right.
So I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, because people in their head, when they think of the Bronx or any of those boroughs, it's like it's apartment buildings all over. It's concrete. There are no trees. There's gangs breaking out in song, riding the subway. It's just like West Side Story. Maybe not. So you are a junior in high school, right?
I am, yeah.
And how does this year compare? Is it your best so far of high school?
It's my best socially. Like I have all my close friends that I've had since like middle school. We're so close. Workload, is a lot,
Hmm.
definitely.
Sure.
Because I have AP tests coming up, midterms coming up, and the SAT. So it's like all kind of piling on. I'm very excited for the spring when that part's over. But
Right.
socially it's better.
It's better.
Academically, it's heavy. Yeah.
Sure. Is there an AP course that you're really enjoying?
I'm taking A push, AP US history right now, and
Okay,
I'm
sure.
actually really enjoying it. Yeah, it's very very interesting, because it goes in depth like further than I've had like in the past with my history classes. So
Hmm.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
So my son took A push, but his sophomore year. So last year, and you
Hmm.
take it your junior year. He said there's a lot of notes. So I don't know if that's a strategy that just his teacher employs, or if all A push teachers across the country are forcing you to take notes all the time about what you're reading.
A
Is that
lot of notes, yes. But that's like how I learn best when I write it down. When I write stuff down, it's just like how I remember. So it's like helpful for me. For everyone else, it's a little annoying, but for me, I'm like, this is fun. Like I'm kind of cool with
oh,
it.
good. Okay. So what is the
Mhm.
best part of high school in your mind?
Um, I think I honestly seeing my friends is probably a big part of it, and be able to
Hmm.
like kind of like expand like academically, but with people that I know, and people that I'm comfortable with, because I've been in like classes with people like the same people basically for like a while. So it's nice, like different teachers, but same environment.
Yeah, I mean, how many more chances when you think about your future, how many more opportunities are you going to have to come to a place where you're surrounded by people your age with similar
Mhm.
interests that you've known for a long time? And so you have to take some classes, but that makes it more fun
Yeah,
because you're with your friends. I mean, that's not going to happen once you graduate from high school. In college, you'll make a nice group
yeah.
of friends, but then you enter the real world. It's different ages, different
Mhm.
types of people, different types of personalities. So what is the biggest challenge in high school other than the
Um,
academics? I know that that's tough for you right now.
mhm. Time management in general, not only with academics, but like with my schedule. Because I try to get like community service hours in and
Hmm.
extracurriculars and everything along with homework and see
Sure.
because I want to see my friends also.
Yep.
So time management, I'm not great with it. So that'd be yeah.
And you have a sister, right?
I do, yeah.
How is her time management? Is she better at it or is
Um,
she kind of in the same boat?
she's younger, so I feel like it's harder to judge. She has less going on. But I'd say hers is probably better than mine. Mine is
Well,
not very good.
she has less going on, but also when you're younger, your parents are managing your time for you.
That's true, yeah.
And then when you get
Mhm.
older, you start doing more and your parents are kind of loosening their grip a little bit. And now
Mhm.
you're like, ooh, I got to manage all this on my own. So if you had a magic wand, what would you wish away from high school? What is the part of high school that you could do without?
Midterms.
Oh,
On top of
midterms.
everything, definitely don't need them because like I'm like with all the other standardized testing that I have to do at some point, midterms are just kind of like just give me a final. I'll do the final. I feel like
Okay.
halfway through it's like no one wants to do it right after the holidays and everything. It's January. It's like worst part of the
Get away.
year.
Do away with them. I'm fine with that
Yeah.
also. What are the extracurriculars that you're involved with?
I do tech theater for my school. So
Okay.
for like we have 3 shows throughout the year, and then we have like a big tech week where we're all there for a week till like 10 o'clock, just like building the sets and everything. I do art programs and art classes,
Nice.
and also I'm in an a cappella group, so
You are, no
that's
kidding.
also yeah,
Is
I
it a
am.
mixed group or is it all female?
It's a mixed group. We're called the Passing Notes, so we're like we perform around town, and
Passing
it's like
notes.
I'd say it's kind of equal parts male and female because we have
Okay.
like soprano, alto, and then like tenor and bass. They sing lower, and those are traditionally like male
Sure.
vocal parts. So
And do you sing songs all across the board? Stuff from today, stuff from the 80s? Or
yeah,
is
we
it
do.
what is your
We have a
favorite
lot of
song to sing?
um.
What is one that
I
you guys just
really,
knock out of the park?
I really love. We do "In My Life" by the Beatles. We do that one, and I
Really
love singing
cool.
that. We do a lot of Beatles. We have "Yesterday." We have "Across the Universe." Um, but I love basically all of our Beatles songs. I love them a lot.
And you're also a big reader, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you always been a reader? Is that just something you've always done?
Yeah, since my dad in like I want to say like third grade was like, "Hey, there's a book about a wizard boy and he goes to a school called Hogwarts." And I was
I've
like,
heard of that one.
"Sure."
Hmm.
Yeah. And then that like Harry Potter got me on like the reading train. After that, it was kind of like obsessed. So
Yeah. That was a great way. I think a lot of people owe Harry Potter, I guess J.K. Rowling, a lot
yeah.
of respect and admiration because she's the one that got so many people, I think, hooked on reading, which is great.
Hmm.
You are also someone that's involved with social justice and social, or you're interested at least in social justice and
Yeah.
social sciences. How did that come about?
Um, I am a part, we have like at my school small learning communities where it's
Hmm.
like your English and history class, like regardless of what level you're in, you can join these communities. And for me, it's social justice. So my English and history will be from a social justice standpoint. There's others that are civics and government institutes. So theirs, they'll have like more debates or they'll be involved in model Congress, stuff like that.
Okay.
But for me, we learn from, we usually like learn from perspective of social justice and like marginalized groups. So it's
Hmm.
really interesting, and I just like learning that way. And that's like something that I've over the years realized I want to have later in life also.
Right. How could young people get involved in their own communities, do you think? What's the best way for them to do that?
I think honestly, we have social media is such a good resource, and it's like
Hmm.
I've only recently joined. I've been off social media for like a while. My parents are very strict about it, but
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really good tool because most people that you know in your community are on it, and they can't really avoid seeing it if you're posting about something that you're passionate about unless they block you. um,
Yeah.
so it's like I think that's a pretty good tool.
And is there something that you find that all teens are in support of? And what I mean by that is when I was your age, I watched a lot of MTV, and MTV used to run a campaign to get the vote out, just trying to get young people to vote. And even though you're voting for politicians, it's not really political. Like everyone in the United States can vote if you're over the age of 18. So everyone exercise that right. Is there some sort of issue that you, your friends, or even people that you're not very friendly with at school are all involved with or all believe in?
I feel like I the school that I go to and the town that I'm in is like pretty like a lot of like-minded people like have a lot of similar views, and not to
Hmm.
say everybody, there are definitely people who
Of
I
course.
disagree with, but I feel like where I live it's like we're less tolerant of like discrimination, especially in like in schools, and people are very educated about it, so people speak out about it, and people have social media campaigns or even like posters up in the school just talking about it.
Yeah,
So,
just raising awareness. That's great.
mhm.
One of the challenges that you said you have is talking to people, that you're kind of shy. You don't
A
come
little bit.
across that. You don't come across that way with me. And you're involved with theater and you sing a cappella. So talk to me a little bit about how that is.
I feel like it's more at school in like social environments and people my age, where I'm
Yeah,
a little more like I'm a little more stand. I don't have that much trouble talking to adults, oddly enough, but with other people my age, because I'm in theater, but I'm not on stage for theater. I'm in
I
tech.
see.
So I do
Right.
behind the scenes. Yeah, we have crews. I do fly, so we move all the overhead like signs and stuff with like the pulley system.
Okay. Yeah.
And I help build the set, but I would never like be in one of the shows because I have stage fright.
Oh, yeah. But it's interesting when you read about performers, like big time celebrities, and Michael Jackson was one that stands out who was an introvert and he was notoriously shy and quiet. And then you get out on stage and it comes out for some reason. And then you get off
Yeah.
stage and you're real quiet in interviews and you don't really want to talk. So that's fascinating to me. Speaking of performers, I know that Nina Simone is one of your favorite artists. So I ask everyone if you could have dinner with three people that are alive, who would they be? Nina made the list. How did she make your list? Why is she in your top three?
I feel like I feel like she just made such a big impact with her music that's
Mhm.
like still notable now, where I'm like, I want to see how this person did this, and I want to see like I want them to tell me, like about their life and everything and how they got there. I feel like that'd just be one of the people that just popped into my head for some reason.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. But also somebody else who is probably not on a lot of people's lists, Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
So there might be
Um
people that don't know who that is. So tell us who Alan Rickman is and why he's on your list.
he's an actor. He was in the Harry Potter series.
Hmm.
And that's what I like because I grew up watching those movies. That's what I know him like and kind of like associate him with the most. And also he's just a very, very talented actor that I'd like, again, I want to know how he
Yeah.
got there and like kind of his process and everything. And I feel like it'd be interesting to like ask him about that and get to know him. I'd have a lot of questions if I
And
were to
he has
had him
since
with me.
passed.
Yes,
It
he
was a
has.
while ago, and he, of course, was the bad guy in the greatest Christmas movie of all time, right? In Die
Yes,
Hard.
he was.
You have seen
Yes,
Die Hard, right?
I have a while
Okay.
ago, but I
Okay,
have.
good. Good. And then the other person on your list was Marilyn. Marilyn Monroe.
hmm
Why Marilyn?
I feel like her memory, like people have, there's so much that people have sort of done with her memory, either idolizing her or
Uh-huh.
sexualizing her.
Hmm.
Um, and I wonder, I would want to know like how she'd feel about how she's viewed now, and like how she's sort of been like I don't know, her memory, even like the clothes that she wore in the performances that she did are still
Yeah.
talked about now. And it's like someone to have that great of an impact, um, like so many years later, it's just such an interesting thing. And I'd want to know how
And
she'd
how
feel.
much control did she have over her image? Was it all just
Yeah.
something she fabricated, and then when the cameras are off, she had a deep voice and she was like a, all business. You
hmm
just wonder about those things.
Yeah.
So, is there any question that you have for me? I always invite teenagers to ask me a question because I'm an adult, sort of, but I'm not your parents. So maybe there's some curiosity you've had about parenting or why adults do a certain thing. So it's time for you to ask me anything.
Mine, I don't think mine's about parenting. It's more about like what drove you to podcasting? Because I think it's a really like cool thing, and I
You know, I
wonder like what
I
took
get
you there.
asked I get asked that a lot. It's
Do
just out of
you?
boredom and needing a hobby, right? So, what other hobbies can you do once you become a certain age and your kids are older and don't need you? What can you do? I can't take up basketball now because it would destroy my body, right? I mean, you're able to do it from your home. It's free to start up a podcast. I haven't put out any money, and it's just enjoyable to me. It gives me a little bit of purpose. I feel
Mhm.
like, okay, it's something I have to do every week, and I have to recruit guests, and I get to come up with games. And so that's why I did it. Do you have any interest in podcasting yourself?
Um, I think it's interesting. I feel like I'd have to listen to. I feel like I don't listen to as much like as many podcasts. I feel like I'd have to get more into it in order to like
Yeah.
see myself doing it.
Teenagers aren't listening to podcasts. So, but this is a nice segue because now I want to talk about some of the things that you're streaming and how you're spending your online life. Before we talk about what you stream, since you're a big reader, you gave me a list of some of the books and some of the authors that you read. You love the Hunger Games. So
Mhm.
that seems like a natural transition from Harry Potter to Hunger Games. A lot of young people make that
Yeah.
transition, right? You liked Harry Potter. Agatha Christie.
Mhm.
So her novels have been around a long time. What is it about Agatha Christie's writing that you like so much?
I only recently started reading, so I've only read like two of her books, but my favorite is like And Then There Were None. I
Okay.
like how I kind of like how she's able to convey suspense, but still like it still makes sense. It doesn't drag on for too long, her
Okay.
stories, and her characters have so much life. And of course, like it's hard to take like, something that was written so long ago and sort of put it into modern
Hmm.
times without there being some issues. But
Right.
I sort of like to also know what people were reading back then. I think that's
Sure.
interesting. And I like the way she writes her characters and her stories.
And what is Song of Achilles? I could have looked that up easily before we talked, but I thought I'd wait for you to explain it to me.
It's about, Achilles in Greek mythology.
Hmm.
It's sort of about his life in a not an exactly like historical lens. It's sort of more romanticized lens, and it's because it's fiction. But I
Okay.
thought it was just very, very well written. It's pretty like I thought it was pretty like poetic. So I thought it was a really, really interesting book.
Was he made out to be a good guy in this novel?
Yeah, he is. It's also
Misunderstood?
like a um little bit. It's like
Yeah.
he's definitely um everyone loves him. He's still like a hero in the book because that's how also he is in Greek mythology. But it's more of it's a also a very good book for people in the queer community because it's sort of like from a queer standpoint. It's very, very
Oh, okay.
interesting. It's newer, so it's like
Okay.
um it's taking like something older and giving it a more modern
Sure.
twist, I
Is it
think.
considered young adult or is it adult adult?
I
That's a
think it's young
genre.
adult. It's been a while since I it's been a while since I've read it, but I think it's young adult.
Okay. And Little Women is one of your favorite movies.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Little Women, right?
Yeah.
The talented Mr. Ripley, you said.
Hmm.
That doesn't get a lot of accolades, but from young people. What was it about that movie that you liked so much?
I liked cinematography. I liked like it was
Hmm.
like even like the landscapes and backgrounds were like gorgeous, and of course the acting was great. And I
Yeah,
watched it really recently. One of my friends who's like obsessed with movies, she's like, "You got to watch this," but I was like, "Fine." I wasn't doing anything. It was
yeah,
like a weekend. I was like, "Oh, like this is really really
yeah.
good." It was just a movie that like I was very drawn to after watching it. I was like, "Oh," I was like doing my research on it.
And the social justice warrior in you, you liked the trial of the Chicago Seven, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Was
I do,
that's
yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen, right?
I think so. I'd have to double check because it's also been a while. I watched my friend recommended that to me like 3 years ago, and I watched it and I was just like, oh, like I love this. I love the way it's I love the way it's paced. I love the way like it's like the script. I like the way it's written. The
Yeah.
all the acting is like very very good.
Hmm.
And it's witty too while being
Sure.
serious. So I like it a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah,
Well, you want something witty. I know you're a big Arrested Development fan.
I am. Yes.
Gosh, that show every time. It's one of those shows that when it's on, you just have to watch it. So there's
Yep.
for a lot of men, that's Shawshank Redemption. If Shawshank's on TNT, I gotta watch it. And that's how it is with me and Arrested. If Arrested's on, it's like, okay, I'm here for the next 22 minutes. Who's your
Yep.
favorite character on Arrested Development?
Um, I love George Michael. I love
George
him.
Michael.
He's just poor kid. He's just like everything's sort of happening around him, and he's just like he's just nervous and kind of shy, but it's
Oh,
really he's
I
such a good
know.
character.
He's so sweet. And of course, he's in love with the very wrong person to be in love with.
Yes.
Music wise, who are some of the artists that you're into and that you listen to?
I like the Pixies. I like the Beatles. I like A Tribe Called Quest,
Okay,
I think.
sure.
David Bowie, um, The Far Side. I'm trying to think of like
And Kendrick
sometimes my
Lamar.
mind, yes, and Kendrick Lamar. I could open my Spotify, but that take a minute. I'm trying to
So
like
how did you, because if
think
you're
of
listening to Kendrick Lamar, it's not going to recommend David Bowie. So how did you get into David Bowie?
um I've always known some of his songs, I feel
Hmm.
like, and I'm very open to just different music. And
Sure.
I have a friend who's like obsessed with classic rock, and so he'll send me music all the time. And then I already knew Bowie, but then he was like, "You should listen to him more." And I was like, "Okay." And I did, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." So then
Okay.
and Spotify just recommends more artists like that. So
That's
I
right.
slowly rabbit hole, like it just sends you down.
You spent a lot of time on Spotify?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
is your Spotify organized? I know that organization might not be one of your essential characteristics and time management, but how do you keep your Spotify organized?
I just like save a ton of albums. Like I'm not a playlist person, I feel like, because then I'd have to like sit there and find every song I've listened to, and sometimes I just let Spotify play and like recommend what it thinks I like. So I'll listen to like Spotify has like a DJ and it'll
Yeah,
play
that's
what
right.
things you like. Yeah, and then I'll just add it to my liked songs, and then I'll just shuffle my liked songs.
Okay.
By or if I want to like listen by genre, I usually listen by genre.
So that's
Mhm.
really your go-to non-social media app.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
you're in it a lot. And when I asked on this questionnaire, how much time do you spend on your phone every day? You said, don't even ask, right? You said,
Yeah.
don't even ask, which tells me it's a lot. But are you including listening? Because
I am including
I'm
like
not sure I
a
include
lot of
that.
it's listening.
So take
Okay.
away the
Well,
listening.
if we didn't, then I wouldn't say that often. It's mostly for like being on the phone with or texting my friends, I feel like. And then sometimes scrolling through Instagram, but most of my phone usage is Spotify, like just all the time. I have
Right.
it just playing in the background of my room, like at all times.
So how do you utilize Instagram? Because that's probably your go-to social media app, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of it's I like just got it. 'Cause, again, my parents were like, no social media until you're like certain age. So I
They
just
are
got it a
wise
couple months
people.
ago. Yeah. But it's sort of just keeping up with my friends' lives. I don't post very often.
Hmm.
I'm not like big, like occasionally on my story, it goes away in a day. But a lot of it's to promote like clubs that I'm in, like during lunch or like my friends' clubs, I'll like repost and be like, come at room 207 or something like that. But it's I don't post very often like personal stuff.
So you're using Instagram kind of in a micro level, right? You use it just to see your community around you and a little bit
Mhm.
outside of that. So do you ever use Instagram to see what the world is thinking, or are you up on trends that other Instagrammers are doing?
I'm I follow like a couple history accounts, so that's not like current event, but it's like I feel like that's a lot of world outreach, and then also art. Like I just like there's a lot of like
Okay.
if I'm on Reels and I see any like artwork that I like, I'll just follow the person. So that's like most of my Instagram Reels are artwork.
Yeah, so you go to your For You page, and now it's just because it sees you like art, it just keeps throwing that at you.
Yeah.
Do you ever get something totally random thrown in there and wonder, how did that get in? Why does Instagram think I want to
Yes.
watch this right now?
I think my For You page has been ruined by what my friends send me.
Oh,
It's
I
whenever
see.
I click
Right.
on it, if I watch it, it's like the most random videos, and then that'll appear like in the middle of like my art stuff. It'll just be like some random thing. So that's
So
probably my friend.
let me ask you this. Have you ever been on Instagram and then you take a break and you're just talking to your friends or your parents about something? Let's say you're talking about going to the mall and going, or let's say you want to go to Target. You're just going to go shopping and you're picking up things at
Mm,
Target and you say the word Target a bunch of times. And then does Instagram suddenly show you an ad for Target?
That's
Like,
happened to me before.
that's
It
insane, right?
yeah.
It's listening to what you're saying.
My mom gets so freaked. She's like, I was just talking about this, and then suddenly it's on. I'm like, I know, it just happened.
And people will be like, "Oh, it's meant to be. It's a coincidence." Like,
Yeah,
nope, it's listening to your every
it's
word.
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy. Ella, parents love to give advice to their children, but it's also harrowing because we want to make sure that the advice we're giving is good advice. We want our kids to come to us, but we also want to make sure that the advice we offer is useful and the right thing to do. So we're going to have a little fun with you right now, and we're going to play a game called Father Knows Best. Now,
Podfulness.
Okay.
you probably know your dad pretty well, right?
hmm
Yeah. And I bet you even sometimes know what he's going to say or how he's going to react before it even happens. Is that fair to
Yeah.
say? Okay.
Yeah.
So I reached out to your dad and I provided him with a few scenarios and things that I think you might ask him in the future. And I wanted him to give advice. So he gave his answer. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you the same scenario and I want you to try to predict what you think your dad would say for that scenario.
Okay.
This is a true test to see how well you know your pops. Okay. So here we go. This is scenario number one, Ella. You come home from school upset about a grade that you received on your math test. It was a D minus. That's not very Ella-like, is it? No, you study, you pay attention in class, but you tanked the test. You feel like the questions were nothing like the practice questions, and you feel like the teacher was being a jerk by asking questions harder than normal. What advice would your dad give to you in this scenario? What would he suggest
Probably
you do?
not to beat myself up about it too much if I'm as long as I am paying attention and studying. If I'm paying attention and studying, then there's only so much I can do as long as I'm putting like the most work I can. And then also to I guess pay more attention tutoring and go see my teacher like if I can during lunch or something like that.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's see what your dad had to say.
So here's what you do: you find out where the teacher lives and you toilet paper their house. And don't go cheap. Get 2-ply. None of that single ply, Whole Foods, recycled nonsense. You need something you can throw and something that'll last long on the trees.
Sounds like your dad didn't take that question very seriously.
I don't think he
So,
did.
so you missed that one, Ella. So now we know what we're working with here, right? All right. So here's scenario number two. You're having some friends over to watch a movie, but you don't know what movie to watch. So you ask your dad what he recommends. You want something funny, but also exciting. What movie is your dad going to recommend to you?
He'd probably tell me to watch Star Wars like all the time, probably. That's
It's
like the
always
first
Star Wars.
it's always Star Wars.
That's his answer to everything.
Probably like most of the time. Most of the
Okay.
time it's Star Wars.
It's
Yeah.
Star Wars. All right. Let's go to the tape and see what he had to say.
Few films can match the wisdom, the joy, and the humanity of Cocaine Bear.
Oh
I
my
recommend
God.
it.
Yes.
And if it's not available on Prime or any other streaming service, there's always Step Brothers, which I think we own.
Oh,
Oh,
Step
yes.
Brothers is an
I
excellent choice. Oh, that's your
there's
second miss. Okay, Star Wars was not the answer there. Here is scenario number 3 that I proposed to your father. You're applying to colleges and you need to write an essay. You have an idea of what you want it to be about, but you're suffering from writer's block. That happens. So now you're considering asking Chat GPT to write the essay for you. What advice is your dad going to give?
I know ideally he'd say, no, don't use ChatGPT. But now, seeing as though his answers have been I've been wrong so many times, I feel like
Uh-huh.
maybe hmm, I'm gonna say he'd say not to use it. Like
Not to use it?
hopefully he'd tell me not to use it.
Okay, let's see what he had to say here.
Kiddo, you've got a huge heart, an amazing mind, fantastic
Oh.
relationships, and immense talent. There are tons of stories in you just waiting to be told. So I would not rely on ChatGPT. Plus, I'm hearing that college admissions officers can now recognize somehow when essays are written by ChatGPT. So I would definitely just buckle down and do that one yourself. Love you.
Wow. Ah, and a little lovey at the end. So he took that one seriously, and so did you. You got it right. Like minds think alike. Very good, Ella. All right, here's scenario number 4, and we have 6 of these. It's 2 in the morning, and you still have not returned from your night out with friends. Finally, at 2:30 in the morning, you roll in, and when asked why you're late, you explain that you got in your car to drive home, but your car wouldn't start, and you had to walk home. And sadly, you locked your phone in the car, so you had no way to call. What advice would your dad give? What will he say to this scenario?
I feel like he'd probably be disappointed that I left my phone
Oh, that's
or
what he's
that I
most
didn't have
disappointed
access
about?
to my phone. He'd probably tell me to use one of my friend's phones and not to walk home at night because he's very against me walking home. I also don't like walking at night.
Okay.
Um, so he'd say either have your friend walk you home or call me on your friend's phone, but don't walk home alone. And also
Smart.
don't make me stay up till 2 a.m. because he
Okay.
doesn't like staying up.
It's too late for him. All right. So let's see what your dad had to say.
First off, who in their right mind gave you a 2 a.m. curfew? And then you had nerve enough to break it? And none of your friends got sense enough to give you a phone so you can make a phone call?
Yes,
This scenario ain't even real and you already on punishment.
All right. Well, you got it right.
that
He was
sounds
angry
about
about
right.
it, but you were on the same page with him. All right. Very good. And seriously, what teenager isn't always holding their phone?
Yeah,
You
no,
forget
there'd be
everything
no
else.
scenario where I'd
Yeah.
lock it in a car.
Never. All right. Scenario number 5. You've just been asked to the prom. Congratulations. This classmate is nice enough, but ultimately just not your type. There's no there there. Plus, this person is very, very sensitive and cries easily. You told him you'd think about it, but what advice would your dad give you in this scenario?
I think my dad would tell me to go with, like what my heart wants and not like, let the person down nicely, be
Uh-huh.
considerate, but not to go with anyone or do anything that I don't want to do just to make someone else happy.
Okay. I like that answer. Let's see.
Like most things in life, with matters of the heart, it is best to tell the truth. Let that kid down easy and go to the prom with someone you really want to go with. Besides, according to Google, the average human can cry anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes. Proms last for hours. That is a long time for you to be crying on the inside. Think about it.
Oh, really good advice. Excellent. You are ready to lead a parenting seminar, Ella. This is great. And here is scenario number 6. Are you ready? For a long time, you have always loved animals, especially big cats. You are seriously considering dropping out of school and joining the traveling circus because you saw a post on Nextdoor that the circus is looking for a new lion tamer. No experience required, just a decent life insurance plan. You really want to do it because you love cats, but you're wavering. So what advice is your father going to give to you?
Not to get killed by a lion. He'd tell me
Not to
no.
get, he would tell you no, not to do it at all?
Or I feel like he'd probably phrase it. He'd be like, follow your heart if this is what you really, really want to do. But I think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
And not
All
to
right.
get killed by a lion.
All right, let's see how close you are to that, his answer.
Big cats. That's hilarious. I can barely get you to walk small dogs. Listen, my love, I always want you to follow your dreams. But in the midst of that dream, I want you to remember, you got to wake up and face your mother. And tell the woman who gave birth to you, the woman who demanded that you have organic food for most of your life, that you now want to take that life and stick your head in the mouth of a huge lion for money. Good luck with that, kiddo. I'll be way in the back, looking very afraid and cheering you on. Love you.
You nailed it. You nailed it. You know he'd say exactly follow your heart and then no. Ella, you know your dad really, really well. You can predict his every behavior, except you got Star Wars wrong. And that's a little disappointing.
Get Star Wars wrong.
But
Yes.
but you can't dislike a man for liking Star Wars.
It's true.
Your dad is probably close to my age, and it's a movie that means a lot to us. So thank you, George Lucas. Well, that about does it. Do you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns?
I don't, but thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Ella, for coming on the show. And all of you out there listening and watching, continue to keep in touch with what's going on with Podfulness on Instagram at Podfulness. And you can follow us on YouTube as well. Just search for Podfulness, and that about does it. So we will see you next time on another episode of
Podfulness.